Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. As you can see, I've got the dressing gown out. First time. It's getting autumny, isn't it? So I think we can say goodbye to whatever was left of summer. But anyway, yeah, I've only just got up, cup of tea on the go. But yesterday I put a little mini poll on the community page of the channel, asking who do you think is a superior fighter, Floyd Mayweather Jr. or Bud Crawford? And there was a third option if you were unsure. Now, I don't normally like judging fighters while they're still active, because historically it's very difficult to place them, because Crawford might go on and you know, make a splash at middleweight, for example. I wouldn't put it past him to sort of unify the middleweight division. He's just a remarkable talent. And at 38, he's still looking great, looking fantastic. But, so, you know, it is, I do understand that people are going to say that, well, you know, difficult to say. So that's why I said, you know, not who's got the greatest achievements, but who do you feel is a superior fighter? I mean, I always think of, you know, Roy Jones when he beat John Ruiz. He'd only had one defeat, which is a disqualification against Montel Griffin. And then he knocked Griffin out in the rematch in one round. And if you told me then that he would go on to have further nine defeats, I would never, ever have believed you. But he fought on for, you know, for 15 years past his prime, and when he was basically shot and was getting knocked out by, you know, Enzo Maccarinelli and stopped in a round by Danny Green. I mean, it was sad to see. So fighters can go on for way, way, way too long. And for all we know, Bud Crawford might do the same thing and end up with a load of defeats on his record. Now, looking at this poll, okay, this is so far, well, as I'm making this video, there have been 623 votes, okay? 14%, are unsure of who's the superior fighter. That's fine. That's a perfectly legitimate option. But 18%, 18% of the people are saying they think Floyd Mayweather is a superior fighter, and 68% are picking Bud Crawford. Now, I'm really surprised by that, those figures. And of course, this is a small channel, and, you know, this doesn't really say anything conclusive. It's just an opinion of you guys that subscribe to the channel. So whether it's representative of anything on a much, much broader spectrum, I don't know. I can't say. But I am seeing an awful lot of people saying, oh, Crawford's better than Mayweather, Crawford's better than Mayweather, on other channels. And, you know, I understand one of the reasons is that people always concentrate what is current. This is why I don't really like historically judging people until their careers are over, because the dust has to settle and people have to become more objective. And, you know, it is easy to get caught up with Bud, you know, thinking, oh my God, the guy's a bloody genius. I think he is a genius, but then so was Floyd. Floyd was a great fighter as well. And there are elements of, there are, yeah, pros and cons for both fighters. So, for example, you could say, well, Bud has unified, has become undisputed champ in 3 weight divisions. Mayweather didn't even try to become undisputed in one and didn't become undisputed in one. On the other hand, you could say, well, Floyd's resume is so much better than Crawford's. And around we go with these different, you know, arguments. But it is quite striking to me that 68% of people picked Bud Crawford. I kind of thought they would pick Crawford, again, because he is the modern genius. But I thought it might be, I don't know, 58% to 42 or something, you know, something along those lines, 50, maybe 50% to 45 with 5% unsure or something like that. The width of the difference is, to me, is very, very surprising, very, very surprising indeed. So I think that the legacy, or the hook on which Mayweather hangs his legacy, is the fact that he is undefeated. He constantly talks about being undefeated, and it's an immense achievement. But to me, those who pick Floyd, their argument that his resume is so much better than Bud's is quite a convincing one, and that's not to disparage Bud Crawford. I've never felt that Bud Crawford is, he's fought no one. No, he's beaten good men. A lot of them may be B plus fighters, but a lot of them were undefeated at the time as well. Look at his record. And it's also very often, of course, it's the manner in which you get your work done. Look at that welterweight streak he went on when he was knocked everyone out. And then he moves up. He gets a close-ish decision over Madrimov, and everyone's thinking, what can he handle this extra weight? What's his ceiling? And then he goes and beats, admittedly, a somewhat jaded Canelo, but nevertheless, I think Crawford's. I always said if they were the same size, Crawford would win. I'd always pick Crawford to win, regardless of what point of their career they're fighting. But nevertheless, quality of opposition, despite the fact that Bud Crawford's quality is underrated, I think quality of opposition compared to Mayweather wins this hands down, right? He won his first title against Genaro Hernandez, who only had one defeat on his record, to Oscar De La Hoya. And he also had a draw, Hernandez did, but he had 38 wins. And this young kid comes along and forces him to retire after 8 rounds. Hernandez was a good fighter, and that was back in 1998. And then his first defense was against Angel Manfredi, who he stopped in 2 rounds. Then he was beating good fighters. Carlos Reyes had 44 wins, 2 defeats, and I think a draw. The first time I began to think of Mayweather in really high terms was when he beat Diego Corrales in 2001. I thought Corrales would beat him. I picked Corrales to win at the time. Corrales was undefeated in 33 contests, and he was completely dominated by Mayweather, who Corrales, as we know, was very, very tall, huge, rangy dimensions, and he got completely, what was he down 3 times, 4 times? I can't remember, but he was completely dominated against Mayweather. That was a brilliant performance by Mayweather. In fact, I think that was Mayweather's best performance of his entire career. And then he's beating people like, winning decisions over people like Carlos Hernandez, who was 33-2-1, something like that. Jesus Chavez, he forced him to retire. He was a good fighter, 35 wins and 1 defeat. We had the 2 fights with Castillo. I thought he lost the first one, Mayweather, but he won the second one definitely. By this point, he was up at lightweight. And I think, was it the Castillo fight where he won where he won his lightweight belt? I can't remember offhand. I think it might have been. But one of the fights he had at lightweight, which again, an underrated fighter and a very underrated performance, a brilliant performance, was against Philippe Ndu, who was 31 wins and one defeat. Some people picked Ndu to beat Mayweather. He was that good. And Mayweather stopped him in 7 rounds, completely outclassed him. And then he won a decision over DeMarcus Corley, who was, again, he went on to be a sort of gatekeeper type, journeyman type, but good fighter, Corley. Gatti, of course, Gatti had seen better days, a lot of wear and tear on Gatti. Beat Sharma Mitchell, stopped him, outpointed Zab Judah after some hairy moments. De La Hoya, split decision win, but some people thought De La Hoya won. Others, it was a very close fight. Knocks out Hatton, beats Shane Mosley, who'd seen better days, but nevertheless, good points win. And by this point, he was into that money period of his career. But the point, I could go on, but these are just some of the names that he fought, Mayweather. So you can't knock his resume. And I know people say he did cherry pick. At times he did. At times he waited to sort of age out people, and he wasn't the sort of I'll fight anyone anytime type. And that's a knock against him. I think it's probably a legitimate knock against him. But nevertheless, the quality of his opposition is very, very good. The 2 fights with Madonna, for example, one of them majority decision, the other one unanimous, I think. And you can't knock the guy. I think he was an immense talent, But Bud Crawford, to unify or to become undisputed in 3 different weight categories, immensely impressive. Absolutely immensely impressive. So again, it doesn't surprise me that that Crawford wins the little poll, if you like, but it does surprise me the width in which it's done, and I can only put that down to, I suppose you'd call it, people knowing what they know because they're younger and they don't quite remember Mayweather's career. But the dust has settled on Mayweather's career. The reason Mayweather, for me, is a great fighter is not because he's undefeated. Again, I don't care about undefeated records. It's because of his overall resume. And there are knocks against him. You could say, well, he retired to avoid the rematch with De La Hoya, which he did. And that was because he knew De La Hoya was a handful. And he knew he almost got beaten on that day. Bud Crawford has never come close to being beaten. Madrimov was a close-ish fight, but I still think he won it. He had to earn it, but he won it. And I do think you can absolutely. I think Castillo beat Mayweather the first time. So to me, the zero doesn't. I'm not interested in that. It's who he's fought and the longevity of his career as well. And I think I'm right in saying that Mayweather is only 8 years older than Bud Crawford. Let's not forget that Bud is 38 now, which sort of makes his achievements even more impressive when you think of the chronological age. But I don't know. If you haven't seen the poll, go and vote. Like I said, there are 623 people who voted at this particular time I'm doing this video. But keep voting. If you ain't voted, go and have a look. It's on the community page. And leave a comment. Tell me why you think so-and-so is the superior fighter. And if you're unsure, click unsure. I mean, that's a legitimate option. But yeah, thanks very much for if you did vote, and thanks for watching this video. If you did like this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel, because we got loads of videos for you, and I always appreciate your support. It takes a second, cost you nothing. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You have a good day. I'll catch you later. Bye for now.